Diolch I bawb am fod yn rhan o'r gweithdy yma. Thank you all for logging in and taking part in this workshop. It'll last for about an hour. My name is David Jones and I'm Menter Food Projects Manager. So I look after Neges and Larder Cymru, which is why we're all here today. It's just a few housekeeping things to begin off with. If we could put all of ourselves on mute, that would be great. Just so that there's no feedback and what's not. For those of you who are not familiar with Larder Cymru, Larder Cymru is focused on supporting, preparing and enabling suppliers to access public sector opportunities and facilitating collaborative links between buyers, suppliers and other stakeholders. Now, the public sector in Wales spend over 90 million on food and drink annually. And this means that there's a whole host of opportunities available within the sector, and our aim is to get more Welsh food and drink producers and suppliers into the supply chain by means of one of the one-to-ones that we're offering, and also workshops like this. So there'll be a slight change of format for this workshop today. So we'll be jumping straight in with our guest speaker for the day, and this will be followed by a Q&A session. So please feel free to use the chat function or the Q&A function that should be on the top of your screen. And we'll get back to your questions, and we'll answer the questions as we go. And yeah, so please do get involved. That's why we want you here, really. So I'm really looking forward to introduce the host for today's webinar and to learn a bit about Can Cook Well's place in the food supply chain and learn about the successes that they've had in North East Wales and beyond. Today's session, it will be recorded, and a recording will be sent out after the meeting. As I say, if you've got any questions, please post them in the chat function. Bydd sesiwn heddiw yma yn cywiredeg trwy'r Saesneg, ond mae croeso chi roed chat yn Gymraeg os ydych chi eisiau, a na ni'n ddod yn dol atoch chi. So without further ado, let me introduce to our guest speaker for the day, Robbie Davison from Can Cook and Well Fed. Now, Robbie's been setting up social businesses for over 30 years. He's previously worked in the public sector, including with local authorities. 15 years ago, he set up Can Cook to provide good food options to deprived areas in Liverpool. Can Cook is now a partner with Flintshire County Council and Clwyd Housing Association, and they set up Well Fed over 3 years ago. Can Cook Well Fed is a good food company focused on feeding everybody great food regardless of their circumstance, and their ethos of the service is predicated on dignity, well-being and justice. And the service works within the public, private and third sectors. Now, Robbie will talk more about the Can Cook Well Fed model of supplying food parcels, meals on wheels, ready meals, cook-at-home meal boxes and their mobile shop. We'll talk a bit about the plans for the future and supply chain opportunities for local producers. So, yes, over to you, Robbie. Thank you very much.
Morning, everybody. Good to see you all, or see most of you, I think, on this screen. Can you all see this? Is that okay? Yeah.
Yes, that's brilliant. Yes.
Okay, I'll kick off. Just as the introduction says, I set up Well Fed about 3.5 years ago now in a partnership with Clwyd Housing Association and Flintshire County Council. Previous to the piece of work of the partnership, we'd been commissioned, Can Cook had been commissioned by Flintshire County Council to write a report on the state of food poverty in the region. And what was apparent and clear when we produced the report, that people were not eating well, and this didn't necessarily mean whether they were living in deprived areas or not. It was also clear that a lot of people who were on better incomes were also not eating that well. So all three partners came together with the intention of feeding everyone good food regardless of income. Now, this remains our focus. This throughout the piece of work that we've done so far, our focus has been how do you use the food supply chain and the markets that are connected to it to make sure that A, you can create a viable business from it, but also B, that we are able to use the profits that we generate to make sure that those who are in crisis and who are struggling are able to eat exactly the same food as those who are our paying customers. And so that remains our focus. This feed everybody good food regardless of income is the focus of the company throughout everything that we do. This is what we've set out to do. We've set out to standardise good food supply, and I'll talk a bit about that in a second. We've also set out to deal with poor diet. And poor diet, you might think it's an over-exaggeration, but it's rampant throughout the work that we've seen in Liverpool and the northwest of England, but particularly in the North Wales region. And we are working really hard to create an approach that moves people away from charity and onto the line we use is to being consumers of their own well-being. I think it's really important that people have a stake in their own ability to move away from crisis. We're obviously dealing with hunger, so that's our concern right now. How do we get people to move away from receiving free food all of the time towards paying for that food some of the time and then paying for that food all of the time? We think we've got a model to deal with this. And in this model, I'm just going to explain quickly in a second. We have made a decision as a company to subsidise our own meal costs. To my knowledge, I think we're the only company in the UK that is doing this, where we are subsidising the costs of our meals to make sure that they're affordable to absolutely everybody. For instance, I'll probably mention ready meals later. We do our own range of ready meals. Those ready meals cost no more than £2. And we do bags of food, cook-at-home bags of food, including meat, including vegetables, including recipe cards, including spice mixes, for 4 people for £4. It doesn't matter where anybody shops, people cannot pick up decent food at that price anywhere, and that's a conscious decision we've made from a commercial point of view and also from a social point of view. This is what we do commercially. We're catering 8 care homes, we're a school and a large nursery, and also 16 community hubs. There's another 2 elements to this. Currently, we're working with some Ukrainian refugees and feeding Clwyd Allen, who are one of our partners. We are feeding all of their staff. Clwyd Allen are funding this free of charge for the next 12 months. So over 500 staff have access to a meal every single day free of charge. And so we are the ones that produce these meals for the Clwyd Allen staff, as well as the 8 care homes, school nursery, and the 16 community hubs. We have we also have this as an option. Everybody's heard of HelloFresh, I'm sure, because HelloFresh have spent £1 billion marketing their product. So we do our own version of HelloFresh. So we've got 40 meal types. You can see from the left-hand side there how we go about it. We may talk about the meat pouches there, which make it quite difficult for us to source meat in the north of Wales, and we can talk about this. We've sold 15,000 boxes here, which are 40 in total, contain 45,000 meat pouches. So it's a sizable approach. It's a sizable business for somebody to step into with us if that's possible. Here's our ready meals. They're called Easy, and I was asked to explain, and I have explained before what they taste like. They taste as I'm going to say this obviously because it's me, but they taste as good as M&S meals. They taste as good as Tesco finest meals or Aldi speciality meals. Wherever you shop, they taste as good, if not better than them. We have 60 meal types. We're doing 1,500 meals per week, and we're going to go to 5,000 meals per week in the early part of next year. We have mobile shops. One of the things that was interesting when we set up the partnership is there was a cry from a number of the partner agencies just to say, what are we going to do about rural communities? You know, and so one of the things that we've done is we've launched 2 mobile shops, and the mobile shops are able to provide shopping options for villages and parts of towns which have no local shop to purchase from. And we also because of this, we use the shops as an outlet for our meals, and we're finding that they're proven very, very successful in being able to sell meals locally at that £2 price point, at that £4 price point, because previously people were relying on deliveries from Iceland maybe, or we're using whatever convenience they would be closest to. Particular problems, and I'm sure you're all aware, particular problems for people who don't have access to transport. So we've picked up, interestingly, a lot of custom from single men. So single men who are older and have lost their partners and had not been, have always had their meals cooked for them, or younger men who have just never ever learned how to cook for themselves. So we pick up an awful lot of business from those groups through the shops, and we're now being asked to, can we expand the shops beyond the Flintshire region and into other regions, other areas in North Wales. That's what it looks like to corner shop in the back of a van, and it stocks all of those all of those products, and you can see the ready meals are there, the slow cooker bags are there, and breakfast pots that we sell for £1. Okay, this is what we do socially. I'm sure everybody's familiar with food banks. This is our version of a food bank. What makes this completely different? And this gets to the nub of how do you move people away from charity, and this is where we start to use our subsidy. The image you see on the left hand side is an image of the type of products that are delivered to up to 30 households every single week. We deliver door to door. And you can see the meat, the recipe cards, and all the staples that go with that. The value of those, the value of the box is £38. As you can see there, it's 4 weeks for free, it's 4 weeks for £10, and it's 4 weeks for £15. And then we move people on to being customers of our shop at the subsidised prices. Interestingly, when we launched this, there was a concern that nobody would ever be able to pay the £10 or the £15, and we are converting 75% of the people who were previously in extreme food crisis to paying £15 in the weeks of between 8 and 12. They are happy to do so and are doing so. And what that tells us is that people, if they can afford it, will pay for decent food if it's presented to them in a way that they can access it. So it's an important initiative for us, because what we are trying to do is obviously stem the pressure of hunger through the provision of good food. But we're going right back to our roots, which was all about teaching people to cook. We've taught about 17,000 people to cook along the way. We want people to cook at home, and so this has been a really important initiative for us. We offer, I'm sure lots of you have come across slow cooker and slow cooker approaches, our slow cooker approach, you can see in the screen under the word menu, you can see the flavour pots. We have obviously got chefs within the company. We develop the flavour pots ourselves to make sure that every single slow cooker bag turns out perfect regardless of who cooks it. We train people. We train 24 people a month in and around food, and we use slow cookers as the tool, and everybody gets access to free slow cooker bags and then becomes customers of ours. And this let me just, I'll slow this down now. This is where we're going to go next from January 2022. We are working very closely right now with Flintshire County Council, and we are going to launch a region-wide Meals on Wheels service. And the difference with our Meals on Wheels service is that instead of going door to door, it's going to go door to centre, so door to hub. And so we're going to use local centres, because there's lots of local centres across the region, and we're going to use those local centres as the ordering and drop-off points for the meals that we sell to local people. Interestingly, every meal we sell will sell for no more than £2. So every meal that goes out as part of the initiative will sell for no more than £2. And then we're moving into school food supply. And when it says they're the main meal element, we don't want school food contracts, but we want to be a supplier into school food contracts. Into school food contracts, providing the main meal elements. So this is what we do with care homes, and this is what we're doing with our partners with care homes. We're not providing the full meal, although we're actually going to move to that in the not too distant future with the care homes. But for schools, we are looking just to provide the main meal elements. We want to standardise the quality. We want to standardise the kind of the price across a particular price point, and we want to give kitchens the opportunity to be able to if you like prepare better desserts and any other accompaniment. So we're going to move into this quite ambitiously over the next 12 months, and we're already in discussions about this. And we're going to look to triple our production capacity by March 2023. Right now we have about 8,000 square feet of production capacity. We're going to move to about 18,000 square foot in the next few months, and the work we hope and believe will start in February/March of next year. This is what we're doing right now for those of you who are suppliers. A ton of meat and a ton and a half of veg per week. It will be 3 times that by March 2023, and it'll be hopefully, and this is what we plan for, 10 times that by the end of 2023. What we're very, very interested in is local supply relationships, and what I'm quite passionate about actually, and wanting to do, is set up direct farm relationships with us and our production ability. That's a really short insight into us, and I tried to keep it as short as possible in order not to give you enough information to ask questions, and then hopefully to keep you interested at the other end. There's a lot more I can talk about, but I'll leave it to your questions, and then we can go from there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we've had one question from the floor so far. So Paul is asking, how do you measure the value of the box? Is it how much it would cost at a supermarket to buy, or is it the total cost price?
It's total cost price. Total cost price. Yeah.
Do you mind unsharing the screen? I can see my face.
Hold on a minute.
It's a bit off-putting.
There you go. There's you're back to me.
There we go. That's better. You can see everyone else now. So yeah. Yeah, I'd like to open to the floor. If everyone has a question that they want to ask, if you could put it in the chat. Yep. Paul?
Oh, hello. Hi. Yeah, thanks very much for that. Very interesting. You've been very busy, I can see. It's quite a big operation you've got going there. So I was just wondering what, so you have a team of chefs there which are developing these meals. We offer Thai curry pastes and sauces, so we can offer like catering packs, or we can offer little sachets as well, which might go in the towards making the products, or also maybe into a kit, like you said, in the boxes. So yeah, I was just wondering how much you leave to the customer and how much you do yourselves.
We I think I mentioned that we've taught about 17,000 people to cook, and one of the things that we found particularly is that there was no point in teaching people to cook if you left them too much to do in the cooking process. So pretty much what we're trying to do is take on the responsibility of making sure that it's as easy as possible. So each bag that we pass on to people obviously comes with a recipe card with the spice mix as well. And sometimes even with the veg prepped to the size that we're suggesting that the people would cook with. And then the meat pouches themselves are weighed so they suit the dish. So all of the guesswork really is taken out of it because what we want people to do is to make sure that they enjoy the food, which ensures that they come back as customers.
I've got you. Okay, and a follow-on question, I guess, is how do you manage to sell like a ready meal for £2? And are you non-for-profit, not-for-profit, or are you subsidised, or?
We're a social business, and I'd tell you how we do it. Is last year we made £200,000 profit, and so we'll put absolutely every pound of that £200,000 into subsidy. So simple maths would be that we've got the opportunity to have 100,000 meals. From a social point of view, there's been one Welsh foundation, who is kind of turned on by the idea of wanting to move people away from charity, and get people to pay towards their own well-being. So they've joined us to be able to enable us to provide more free meals this year. So they're gonna provide about £60,000 towards this. So we're obviously using the social model as well as we possibly can, but the larger percentage of the offer comes from our own profits.
Right. Okay.
That's great. And I think following on from that question, we've got a question. Is it a system that will always need to be subsidised, or is it, it's self-sufficient if you?
Yeah, I you know what, I think it's really important for us to, and I didn't say it in this presentation, but good food, this is somebody else's stats, but it stacks up. Good food costs £5 more in equal amounts than poor food. And if we believe in where the cost of living is going to go, and I'm sure Jeremy Hunt's about to make it worse. If we believe where it's going to go, we're going to see. They're saying now that two children in 10 are in food poverty and households connected. I think it's going to jump to 3/4 in Wales once the cost of living starts to bite. People cannot afford to pay for good food, and so we're going to stay in this space of subsidising our meals for as long as we think it's necessary. And I don't foresee that that's going to be any less than 2 years from where we currently are.
Brilliant, thanks. So going, more with the cost of living crisis, a cost that's increased recently is the cost of energy. And we've had a question asking if there will be subsidised access to things such as slow cookers. Is that something that you're looking to do?
We give everybody we work with, so it's 24 people a month. We give everyone a free slow cooker. So we subsidise that as well. So it's I mean, what we're trying to do is make sure that whoever it is, and we don't ask about income when we do the slow cooker training. We do not ask about income. We do not ask about people's particular circumstances. And what's interesting is that when we're having these conversations, we're finding people who are fairly well off are not eating well at all. You know, so it's about how do you make sure, as I said right at the start of the presentation, how do you make sure everybody eats well regardless of income?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that sounds quite a holistic way of going about it, really. Like in your presentation, you showed us the ready meals with the nutritional values. Would you just go to how would you go about measuring the nutritional value of foods?
Tell you how we develop meals. We've got a development chef, head development chef, who works with a dietitian who has got 28 years worth of public health experience. I'm part of the team that developed the meals. We use software in the first instance. So there's a software called Calc. Or there's another piece of software that we use from time to time called Nutritics, and what we do is we get measurements, and they are fairly accurate. We get measurements of the meals. If we think they read wrong as per dish, you know, there are some dishes that you know. Meat content will take the fat up and so on. But what we're aware of is where dishes should be. So there's there needs to be a bit of trial and error. We do that, but we've got expertise around the table to make sure that we get that pretty accurate all of the time.
Well, thanks. In previous conversations I've had with yourself, you've said that, you know, it's important to get people to use the food that they are given, and that's one feeling of the food banks. So how do you determine what recipes and what style of foods that go forward?
We've got 60 meal types. It moves from traditional, so Welsh, it can be English, it can be Italian, it can be Chinese, it can be Indian. It moves around all of the time. What we try and cater for is everybody's tastes. Interestingly, we don't just deliver. So when I talk about the food store before, and we're delivering to families who are in crisis, they get to choose their meals. Every week they get to choose their meals. We do not deliver, there's your meals and you get on with it. Well, we call everybody individually and we ask them what meals that they want to choose from. And every meal, every week, there's 8 meal types for them to choose from, and that's meat, vegetarian, and so
on. So with your expansion going into now, it's quite you know, going from 3 times in March to 10 times by the end of next year. Are you looking for more partners to work with in North Wales, or?
Yeah, everywhere I was, you know, and this is, I'm not trying to overstretch ourselves, but I was in Cardiff on Monday to have conversations about how do you move a production setup like we have further south. We've had conversations about in and around the Bangor region, and like I say, we're gonna treble our footprint in the Shotton area to make sure that we can move beyond Flintshire. We're already working with one small partnership in Denbighshire, and we're having conversations in Wrexham too. So it's important.
Right. So how do you source your suppliers, and what do you look for in a good supplier?
You know, I'll be really honest. When we kicked off, we went as quickly as we could because we were under an awful lot of pressure. We moved our production from Liverpool to Wales. And the idea was not to lose any production days, so we did that, and we brought some with us. And then over time, what we've started to do is to look directly into the North Wales region. And I can see David there from Harlech. We had a conversation with you, we're going to open conversations with Harlech, and we've had a number of conversations with meat suppliers. Interestingly, this, and I'll say, maybe somebody on this call can solve this conundrum. The problem we've had with meat, and as I've said, we've used a lot of meat pouches during the last 9 months in particular, is those meat pouches themselves, is about somebody being able to produce those pouches for us every single day on time at the weights that we need them, and we haven't been able to find a provider in the region that is able to do that and of the quality that we require. One of the things that we're trying to do with this is compete with the Hello Freshes of the world. So you've got to be really bang on with the quality and be able to beat them on price as well. So if there's anyone on this call that wants to talk to us, then David, yeah, superb. We can have a chat about that.
Yeah, certainly, Robbie. We'll. I know we've had a little bit of dialogue, so we'll pick up on that after. So okay, that's brilliant. Thanks very much indeed. And that meat pouches is certainly something we can look at. Brilliant.
Superb.
Excellent. It's great. It's great seeing that. Yeah, you're starting to make different connections. Another way of making connections is there's a lot of other smaller social enterprises that are doing similar work. Are you looking to maybe collaborate with those such organisations?
Yeah, as you know, and this is something that I'm really passionate about. We're really passionate about. Our board is really passionate about. Is just making sure that the focus is always on good food. It's always focused on meals and feeding people well. We are within a particular space which is about making sure that people are always given the respect to be able to choose food for themselves, just like we all can. And that's where we're at. So if there's somebody on this call or elsewhere that you know of who wants to do that and is doing that, then we definitely want to talk to them.
Excellent, thank you. Something that's been focused on with Larder Cymru so far is we've got a very strong focus on school meals. Do you want to expand on the work that you're doing within schools at the moment?
I tell you, this is something that really gets me going, and I'm somebody who's we've spent a lot of time thinking about school food and what the impact school food can have. We have a school food model, and I'll tell you where we're different. Besides standardising the food, besides working with the local schools through cookery skills and so on, we're going to offer food services directly to teachers and parents alike, so they can eat at home. And also we're going to look to, when we start to work at scale with school food providers in the region, we will guarantee that no child will go hungry when they're in crisis. Now, that's significantly different from any offer that is ongoing right now. We will guarantee that no child will go hungry. Now, that's really important. Now, if we can do that, and we really do believe we can, and trust me, I've had sharper people than me have a look at our business models to see how this works. If we can do this, every provider can do the same. So that's really interesting. So that's where we're going. That's different.
Yeah, that's quite a big saying, really. But it's the progress they've shown is it's quite striking. Have you done work with, we've got a question from Maggie with who makes sort of different African inspired sauces. Have you done work with there's a lot of sort of ethnic minorities within our communities. Do do any work towards certain diets that they may have, dietary requirements that they may have?
Yeah, we've done lots of work previously, but we've never been asked to do the work in North Wales. We did a lot of work in Liverpool and the north of England, and you know, for a long time we remain the only programme of work that was actually working with cultural foods and diets and so on. And it's something we're quite passionate about, because particularly if we think about people's hunger, there's a lot of people out there who are hungry, who are not wanting to eat, if you like, the classic processed Anglo-Saxon food. You know, it's important.
Yeah, ideal. Thanks. So moving forward now, you mentioned that you've got some quite ambitious growth plans for the next few months and, well, for the next year. So how do you see that growing for the next year or so?
For me, you know, it's you know, I'll keep looking at you, David, because you're right in the bottom of my screen, so I can see you really clearly, and I can see Harlech written all over it. So my finger keeps pointing to you. Yeah, there's my finger. It's pointing at you. And you know, David, you're aware of this. One of the things that's really important in this whole food chain, food system approach is scale matters. Without scale, the conversation changes all of the time. Without scale, you don't get the margin. Without scale, sometimes you don't get the quality, interestingly. And so scale matters. So what we've been pushing on quite strongly with partners and so on is let's not play around play in the margins. If we're going to make a difference, let's make sure that we are able to produce at scale, maintain the quality, and then bring with us a whole supply chain that is really interested in doing the same. So if there's smaller suppliers, can we work with them? If there's bigger suppliers, can we work with them? And can we use their, if you like, their working capital to benefit us and so on? But that scale, that word scale, means so much in the food system, or any system really. And so that's what we're trying to get to now. We're trying to get to that in order that we can bring people, we can get a better supply chain, and we can bring people with us while we're doing it.
I think you're absolutely key, Robbie. You're absolutely correct. You know, scale obviously provides that, but then it's also absolutely important to shorten these supply chains as well. Yeah. You know, so if we can look at, you know, with ourselves, that's something that we're doing a lot of, is looking at local manufacturers, local suppliers, to shorten that supply chain from North Wales, particularly. We do a lot of that. So, you know, that you're speaking the gospel, really. So, yeah.
I think to add to this as well, one of my frustrations is, and I never thought I'd have this frustration when we moved to Wales, and you know, we are solely working in and around Wales now. Is that I thought working directly with farmers would be really easy. And it's really not, you know, and it's you know, what's the stats? 6% of all fruit and veg comes from the Wales region, and everything else comes from everywhere else, you know. And what I really want to do is work direct with farmers, you know. So if there's anybody on this call who's a farmer who can do that, or knows a farmer who wants to do that, I really want to have those conversations, because to shorten the supply options is so important. So.
Selwyn, do you want to? Yeah.
Yeah. I suggest that the gentleman talks to the farming unions, FUW and FU. Their offices are all over your part of the world, across Wales. If you can have a dialogue with them, they will open up the other farms to what you require.
Superb. Thank you, Sal. Thank you.
Okay. Cheers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have we got any final questions for Robbie? we will wait for just a second. Yeah. So yeah, as Robbie said, you know, there is real big opportunity in shortening of the supply chains for our food, and yeah, I'd like to thank you, Robbie, for presenting about your organisation today and the brilliant work that you're doing. Yeah, sorry, Paul.
So, sorry, yeah, just a final question, I guess, is how do we, for any next stages in trying to propose our products to you, what's the process? What should we do?
Get in touch. Yeah, Robbie at cancook.co.uk.
Okay. I'll send you an email.
All right, cool. Yeah. I look forward to it. Thanks everybody. Thanks for the opportunity to say hello and chat like this. And good luck with all that you're doing. You know, it's a busy old world.
Yeah. Yeah, good. No, thank you very much for coming to speak with us today. We really appreciate it, and you know, I think the work that you're doing is, especially going through the cost of living crisis that we're all going through currently. It's a business that's well placed to combat that as well, and I think I speak for everyone around the table here today that supplying great food for those in need is something that we can all get behind. Yeah, so diolch yn fawr iawn. Yeah.
Great. Take care. Cheers.
We'll now move on to the the more boring part of the presentation, which is mine. So just a quick update about what's happening with Larder Cymru. So these are our key aims, so is to make public sector supply more resilient in Wales. You know, we do this through a variety of things like the workshops that we've got today, and also the one-to-one campaign that we've got running at the moment. As I mentioned, we're trying to shorten the supply chains and make public sector frameworks more accessible to all organisations within Wales, you know, large organisations, small organisations, and trying to keep the pound local. That's really important for us. So we also, to do this, we've been working on a free school meals project. We are continuing to work with Lace Wales. They are the school meals people, with to work on the free school meals rollout that's currently going throughout Wales. We're working with them to hold a high-profile event at the beginning of next year to celebrate the rollout so far, and also the looking forward to increase the rollout going forward. We also took part in the National School Meals Week, which happened last week, and that was also led by LACE UK. So we are keeping in very close contact with them. We're also, as you can see, working closely with some local authorities, and we've developed school meal menus, which are currently being used, such as this one in Conwy, for example. And we're working very hard to try to get the nutritional values up to speed as well with those. But it's great to see that we are seeing more Welsh companies in our school meals. So that's just more about the free school meals, which is run by the Welsh Government and Plaid Cymru at the moment. So if you're a food business, how can you get involved with Larder Cymru? So free one-to-one sessions are available through businesses throughout Wales who are looking to supply the public sector. As you can see by the big 90 million in the middle of the page, that's how much is spent by the public sector on food in Wales alone annually. So we represent a great opportunities for all suppliers. It's also worth noting that there is more to there's more to the public sector than just schools and hospitals. There are smaller, more niche categories within which can provide a good opportunities for businesses. We tailor these the one-to-one support to each individual business's needs, and we work with our public sector leads, Greg and Myrddin, who are both here today. We work with them to make sure that what the business requires is what we can give. It's also important to remember that public sector procurement is changing, and we are seeing more social value coming. The social value part of tenders becoming more and more important, and this is really good because we are now seeing local authorities seeing and understanding the value in keeping the pound local and in our communities, and it's also a great news for our suppliers. This is sort of the blueprint of the one-to-one business support, but as I say, we can change this dependent on each individual needs. So our public sector leads help to identify and work towards businesses' goals within the sector. Where to find more about us? So we've got the Larder Cymru website, that's the www.lardercymru.wales. On social media, we're on Menter platform. So we're on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn as well. Those are the three which we mostly post. So do get in touch with us there to get to know about different opportunities. Also, you should all have my email. If you don't, it's at the end of this presentation, so do get in touch with that if you have got any questions. And yeah, finally, I'd just like to thank you all for attending the workshop this morning. I hope you've all found value in attending. Unfortunately, this will likely be the last workshop of 2022. I don't want to wish everyone Merry Christmas because that sounds a bit too early to do that. But we will be posting more events on the Menter social media accounts, as I mentioned. Please remember about the free one-to-one support that is available. So if you need support yourself, or if you know of somebody or a business needing support to get into the sector, please get in touch. If you need more information, there's a lot of information on the Larder Cymru web page, or contact myself using the email or the phone number below. Alternatively, if you have Myrddin or Greg's contact details. Diolch yn fawr iawn am ymuno, a gobeithio gewch chi ddwrnod dda am gweddill heddiw yma. Thank you all for attending, and I hope you have a great afternoon. Diolch.